Education represents hope for solutions and a brighter future for all concerned. I'm Richard Peretz, and today we congratulate one of the 3 Covenant Foundation Award winners of 2015, Dr. Sandra Lilienthal. Joining us also is the founder and president emeritus of Nova Southeastern University, Dr. Abe Fischler, and they'll both share their views on education in America and in the world, past and present. And I'll ask Drs. Fischler and Lilienthal to also share with us how they see the future of education following these messages.
You know you need CoQ10 and fish oil for your heart. You also know you need a multivitamin to maintain your health. But what you don't know is that an award-winning CoQ10, fish oil, and multivitamin are all made by Life Extension. Why settle for less than the power of science, the power of life, the power of Life Extension?
With us now is Dr. Abe Fischler and Sandra Lilienthal. It's such a pleasure to have you back with us, Abe.
Always good to be here.
Been on so many years. Sandra, this is interesting. I'm in the presence of 2 doctors, 2 PhDs. I have the founder of Nova University, Dr. Abe Fischler, and you, Sandra, have just been honored. Please tell our audience, before we begin with the discussion on education, about the amazing award you've just been honored with.
I am very honored to have been one of 3 winners of the Covenant Foundation Award for Jewish Educators in North America this year.
Quite outstanding. That's a very rare and top-of-the-line award to receive.
It is. The award this is the 26th year, and so there are about 70-something of us that have actually won the award since its existence.
Abe, you too have received endless awards in your lifetime.
Yes.
Tell us about some of them.
Unimportant. They're now in the university. I gave it to them as a gift so that 20, 30 years from now, they'll come in and they'll see my name and they'll be able to go look at awards.
The dedication of the Abe S. Fischler Museum at Nova Southeastern University, the university you helped to found, good Lord, a few years ago.
My 50th year next year.
How much has changed in technology and education since then? You've written books about science, you were a science teacher, you've written books about early education, science education. How things have changed?
It's a very slow process. Educational change is a very slow process. We've had technology now since 1972, 3, 4. It's just beginning now to influence what you see when you go to a school. And but not in its organization, it's still classes. But at least they use technology now more frequently.
You advocated that there should be a computer on every child's desk. And since then, you have modified that to say each child should have a device so that they can do homework or do research as they sit in a park, at home or anywhere on their iPhone or iPad. What are your thoughts with regard to this, Sandra?
I think we have democratized education by the fact that today, unlike when I was growing up, the kids have everything in front of their hands, literally, as Abe said, in the palm of their hands. You take out your little cell phone and you click once or twice and you are with everything in front of you. It's like having all the best libraries in the world at the tip of your fingers. It's unbelievable. And I agree, schools have not moved fast enough to catch up with everything that is available for our students today.
Now you've dedicated a lifetime actually to Jewish education. Tell us a little bit about the specific areas that you are focusing in.
So I work specifically with adults. I have worked with every age from preschool all the way to adults, but for the past 20 years basically, and most likely in the last 10 years, I've been focused solely on adult Jewish education. And it's amazing when I teach people in their 50s and 60s that actually are all tuned into the newest technologies. Everybody has an iPad, everybody knows how to access internet, everybody knows how to work certain apps, programs, everything that's available. So even with Jewish education, when I'm teaching texts that are 2,000 years old, literally, it is accessible on an app on your cell phone. Not just the Bible, the entire Talmud, 63 volumes, everything available in the palm of your hand. And my adult students are there. They know how to use that. They do it constantly. And that's why our teaching has to change, because we're teaching to a generation that knows how to use all of this.
Does having this technology with regard to Jewish education and Talmud, does it make it easier than it was, say, 20 years ago?
Much easier. First, you don't have to buy 63 volumes of a Talmud or so many other books of codes that we have. Second, you can immediately translate it online if you cannot read Hebrew or Aramaic or any other language in which the book was written. You immediately translate. So you have access to things that in the past only very highly, specifically educated people could have access to.
Think about that. She's teaching people who are in their 50s and 60s, and we're still back with the chalkboard, and now it's another kind of board, whiteboard and other things like that. But we still have the unit, not the individual as much as the class, because the teachers are still having 3 reading groups and 2 math groups, and they teach social studies in a way which enables kids to at least talk to one another. We haven't incorporated the fabric of what's available to us. We haven't made anything with it really that's worthwhile at the moment.
And you've always advocated the use of technology and the need for education, better to invest effort and funding in education than...
Richard, when I came to Nova, it was nothing. And it was 1970, we were going to close it up. And I looked around and I said, we're going to do something different. So I created distance education in the university. And what she is talking about, I put in 1971. And that's what saved the university.
How fascinating. And now Nova Southeastern University with these elaborate cities, I mean, it's like a city, the campus and the other campuses, these monumental buildings, it's incredible.
It's only like that because they were trying to blend the old and the new. And because I started at the new end, they're now putting in buildings to have the old come together.
I will say that I did my entire doctoral program online. I went to school 1 week during the year, to physical brick and mortar school 1 week during the year. I will also say as a parent, my children do many of their classes online from the public school system. Florida Virtual has online classes. I cannot tell you how amazing it is. It's not, there is this idea out there that you cannot have social relationships online. That is so not true. My colleagues are all over the world, so I benefited not only from having other people to talk to, but from different cultures with different outviews on life, on education. It was amazing. And I agree with you. It's interesting that Abe started this 50 years ago, and today most of the Ivy League colleges offer several of their classes online.
Sandra, how do you see the challenges facing education in general at this time in history?
I think we need to understand what is going on with the younger generation. I agree with what Abe said. We are still teaching the way we used to teach 50 years ago, and the world is completely different than what it was. We're asking students to sit in a classroom for 8 hours a day, or in public school I think it's less, it's 6 hours a day, but still. When these kids are used to changing everything very fast, their level of focus is different from ours. It's not that they don't focus, it's just different. And we label them with learning disabilities, which granted I'm sure several of them do have, but not all of those who are labeled deserve to be labeled that way. We have not caught up with the times. It's true. We are not caught up with this new generation. These kids are literally playing on an iPhone at the age of 2. They know what to do with an iPhone at the age of 2.
I was just telling the good doctor here that when Noah was in deep trouble, when I took over the presidency, I created distance education. But I was being buffeted all the time and trying to get principals to come, because one of the goals that the school was set up to do was not to do research, but to have the principals make changes in their schools and then show us what they did. So we call them practicums. Mm-hmm. Okay? We had to take the state of North Carolina into their courts in order to provide education that we're talking about now, to even get into the state, because education is a state's right. And you have to go through the pecking order within the state to be able to do it. And the final thing, the reason I happened to take them into court is what the person I knew in North Carolina said to me, look, Abe, if this is something we want to do, we'll do it ourselves. I said, I'm not going to let you do it yourself. I'm coming to North Carolina. And that was the president did Friday. And I did, and we won. No one dreamed we'd win. But I had to spend $100,000, and we only make $10,000 on any cluster. That was our margin, our overhead margin.
There seems to be a resistance from educators to move, to change as fast as we need to change. There's a lot of, well, this is the way we've always done it. And this is the way we've always done it doesn't mean it's successful. And even if it was successful in the past, it doesn't mean it's going to be successful now. You have a different audience. You can't stay where we were. It just doesn't work that way.
Abe, do you see the challenges that you were confronted with in the past? Are they still as pervasive today?
No, they're getting better. You have school systems now at the university level that are doing nothing but, like Kaplan or Phoenix. So the whole program is you have to do it in an individualized way. But there are still Harvards and there are still Berkeleys, where I went to school, doing it the old way. And they can afford to do it, and they got big endowments, and so they can do it that way. It's not better, but they are beginning to make changes even there. But that's why when we talked about educational change, it's a very difficult process. First of all, it's in a political world. Second of all, you're talking to people that may not have had the experiences. She's teaching adults, and their children are in an environment where they see their parents doing what they're doing. They carry that little telephone. I carry it in my pocket here. I wouldn't think of going anywhere without it. So it's a different world, and they see it. So from the time the little kids, they're growing up in the world. That's enables it to move a little faster.
This is very interesting. I'd like us to continue, but we have to pause for these commercial messages. We'll be right back. We're back with Dr. Abe Fischler and Dr. Sandra Lilienthal. You mentioned the word politics a moment ago, before the commercial break, and unfortunately it seems politics are part of the human experience in our world. You're in education, a lifetime of education, the two of you, yet we see education being absolutely abused, made a mockery of in some countries, such as, for example, Pakistan, where American dollars are funding madrasas where little children are subjected to absolute child abuse, where they're being brainwashed. And what are your thoughts with regard to the negative education that occurs in so many parts of the world? Sandra, let me ask you that first.
Education is a dangerous thing. And every dictatorship recognizes that. I was brought up in Brazil during the dictatorship years, where the first thing they do is tell you what books you can read and what books you may not read. This is the way you keep people uneducated, ignorant, and you can do with them whatever you want. As an educator myself, I have to say that education is the only solution to get rid of this kind of culture. However, when all the doors are closed, there's very little we can do. I would hope that American dollars are going not to fund that kind of education, as you mentioned, but to fund programs that can actually reach these people, even online, in different ways, so that they can become more aware of what's out there. The Arab Spring, which to me is a complete failure, as we all know, but the idea that there are people in these countries in the Middle East that have access to internet, to Facebook, to other things like that, this gives us a way to reach them with things that are productive, positive, and educate them.
Well, the Arab Spring has become an absolute nightmare for democracy, and human rights and other have all faded away into greater chaos than ever. Abe, what are your thoughts on the fact that education has not achieved what it should in the Middle East?
Well, first of all, the cultures in the Middle East, there are many, many cultures in the and within those cultures, there are people that go to universities all over the world. We opened up clusters in far west, far east, and we got people to come, and we taught there, and they came to us only for the summer. So part of the problem, part of the struggle that they have is they're way behind those countries where we do have education, and their level of incomes are like very small, and they're seeing a world of change, and they'd like it today, but you don't get it today. You gotta wait till you're able to put it in, and that's only one piece of a very difficult puzzle. We still have in this country a whole unemployment group. 20–25% of kids are living below the poverty levels in this country. And they're not getting the education we're talking about.
What are your thoughts on education in Israel, Sandra?
It's the most democratic kind of education you can find, at least in the Middle East. Most of the schools in Israel are open to anyone, regardless of religion, background, race, anything. The reason I said most of the schools is that unfortunately some of the schools are very insular on all of the sides. But public school system in Israel is excellent and is open.
That's why it's a country that's got the third largest gross national product in production.
Right, all the startups that you have in Israel, et cetera, these things don't just happen out of nowhere. It's a country that prizes education.
The achievements of the State of Israel, they say oppression and persecution breeds excellence. Centuries of persecution.
Well, I think it's more than that. I can think of cultures that were profoundly persecuted and did not develop that. I think when you think in terms of Jewish history, education was always prized. Unlike, for example, the Catholic Church that kept the education within the priestly caste, Jewish education was always a must for no matter who you are, whether you are a rabbi or whether you are the milkman, Tevya, right? Education was something that everybody wanted to achieve, that you wanted to give your children. So I think there's that too, not just the fact that they were persecuted. I think being persecuted made Jews stronger and made Jews realize that they had to count on themselves. But I don't think that it's all of it because of that.
We live in a world where there is so much fundamentalism, irrationalism, and obscurantism. Three terms I like to think about every now and then. And I don't see much progress, but actually education is the one bright shining star of hope for the future. What are your thoughts on that, Abe?
No, that's true. We're at almost 75% of our every elementary school, high school. 75% of the students at least are getting done through high school, and we took our junior colleges now, and we made them 4-year schools again. So the cycle has upgraded even our junior colleges, which are now all regular colleges. So we are making progress. More and more people are going to school, more and more people are coming out educated, and more people have got better jobs. So the quality of our life for most of our people are improving. And that's what has to take place all over the world. Only they're starting down here. We were fortunate we're up here. But there are still plenty of hungry people in this country.
I also see a change in higher education in America in terms of scholarships. There are many, many schools today that have only need-based help scholarships. So we're getting rid of the merit and basing it on need more than anything else, which I find very important, because this is how you're getting those kids that are coming from, you know, not such a good education into good schools and being able to learn. And many of them now, especially in the Ivy Leagues, they're not loans. So these students graduate without owing a single cent, which is how they can now find a job, start working, and not have to worry about the past and just move into the future, which is great.
On this optimistic note, I'd like again to point out that the two of you have just been honored with the dedication of your museum. Dr. Abe Fischler, the president and founder of Southeastern University, one of the largest in the country, and Sandra, this wonderful honor that you just received, which I think is spectacular. I want to thank you both so very much for being with us.
I want to thank you for having us come together so I get to know this lady.
My pleasure and honor.
Thank you very much, Richard. It's an honor to be here.
This concludes our program for today. I'm Richard Peretz. Thank you for being with us.